Yeah. Oh my gosh. Sleeping. I sleep like a baby now. And I was diagnosed with the essential thrombocythemia, which is a sleep disorder. And so I've been using my red light since February 20th. I think I received it. And I now use it twice a day. And I cannot tell you how fabulous I feel. And I shouldn't be feeling this good. So I think between the urine therapy and the red light, I might have a good winner here, and I'm waiting till June to get my blood count redone. But I would be very surprised if my blood count the platelets had not gone down, because I feel incredible, and more so since I started the red light therapy.
Amazing. That's
It
awesome.
is amazing. It is amazing. But I sleep like a baby now. I don't even get up during the night, where before I was getting up 2 times a night for sure. And now I can sleep from 10 at night till 7 in the morning, and I feel fabulous. Yeah.
That is awesome. And tell me, Jean, do you how how does that what did you use? The panel, the belt? What do you
I had the panel and the belt, but I use the panel, and I use it horizontal so I can lay on my bed and put it right over me. So that's why it's so easy to do now. And that's why I think I'm sticking with it and doing it twice a day.
Yeah.
And my husband does it also. He only does it once a day, and he feels fabulous. He does not have any medical issues at all. And I was just diagnosed with this essential thrombocythemia last June or July. And that's when I started. I started the urine therapy on August 19th of last summer. And then once I saw you and was introduced to the red lights, I ordered that and finally got it. And oh my gosh, I can't even begin to tell you how fabulous I feel. It's such a blessing.
Wow.
Yeah,
If you don't mind comparing that, how did you feel before?
awful. I was having nausea during the day, and they kept wanting me. Oh, and that's the other thing. They wanted to put me on hydroxyurea. Well, I figured out that urea is already in our urine. And so I thought, I just was so against it. So I think between the red light and the urine therapy, like I said, in June, I'll have my numbers redone again. And I already know, because they went down a little bit last month, but I know now that I'll have 1 full month of the red light, and actually a couple of more months before I have it taken again. And I really expect to see the numbers gone down.
Wow.
It takes a lot of courage to go through what we've been through.
The doctors themselves are coming more and more because they say, hey, I'm not the same.
I laid in bed for 6 months with this raging pain.
One of the things that we have to have the courage to do is to act upon the information we have in front of us.
And what's the success of some of these therapies? What are you seeing as the results?
Well, I think what we're seeing is a great deal of promise.
So we need this solution because it will create a cancer from here to 2030.
Hi, it's Jonathan Otto, and welcome to bonus episode 3, Cracking the Code, the shocking connection between spinal health and disease. Spinal issues aren't limited to back pain or just another problem that can be treated with painkillers. Spinal issues aren't normal as we age. This is what we've been told and led to believe. Your spine is the very foundation, or one of the main foundations for your entire body's health. In today's episode, we'll explore how the health of your spine could be the unnamed solution to the symptoms that you've been struggling with for years. Conventional medicine has kept silent about the undeniable link between spinal misalignment and chronic illness. They specialize in localized medicine or targeting only the specific location where the pain is at. They don't look at your body holistically and do not find an association with, say, your spine misalignment and a hormonal imbalance. The truth is, And as our experts will reveal in this episode, the real healing starts when you address the problems of your spine. A study in 2020 found that the spine being out of alignment can lead to so many health issues that one would never think of the back to be connected with it. It's not just a theory, it's an actual study backed by many validated facts. The spine houses your nervous system and controls everything else. Another study found that chronic spinal dysfunctions also contribute to major health conditions such as hypertension, digestive issues, and chronic pain syndromes. The study revealed that spinal misalignments are primarily related to the autonomic nervous system. The spine holds you up and everything else. It's like the soul within you. We'll start this episode with Dr. Jennifer Taylor, who reveals a shocking reality about newborn health. Birth trauma can cause spinal misalignments that disrupt vital functions like breathing. She shares the story of a 12-day-old baby suffering from unexplained apnea, stopping breathing multiple times a day, with no answers from doctors. But when a simple thermography scan detected extreme stress in the baby's nervous system, the cause became very clear. A single gentle chiropractic adjustment changed everything. The baby gasped for air, cried for the first time, turned bright pink, and even had a bowel movement right on the table. Within weeks, the apnea was gone. This isn't just an isolated case. Spinal misalignments at birth can have lifelong effects on your breathing, immune function, and overall health. Yet, most parents are never told about it. Jennifer exposes how early chiropractic care can correct these hidden issues before they turn into chronic health problems.
In 1991, I actually started fresh out of high school. I became a chiropractic assistant. So I became immersed in this whole new area of healthcare that I had never actually even heard of before. Well, my mom went to one after a car accident, and that's basically all I knew. At that point, I didn't want to work retail. I didn't want to work at the restaurant business, and I could type 65 words per minute, and I was pretty good on the phone. So I applied at this chiropractic office, and from there I started working for different types of chiropractors. I moved different cities. I was in my 20s, so I was kind of a nomad. But when I finally made it to a doctor in Austin that I worked for, this family walks in with their 12-day-old baby. It was a very difficult birth. And she was on an apnea monitor, which, that bell would ring off all the time that she would stop breathing. Basically, they had to stimulate her, and the doctors would tell them how to do this and everything because they finally just wanted to go home. She was in the NICU and things. And the doctors said, well, we don't know why this is happening. We can't really figure out why she just stops breathing. And so, a 12-day-old baby, that's, pretty alarming, especially for brand new parents. This is their first baby. And so they came in, there's something called a thermography scan that we did. At that time, this particular scan had two little paddles. So that would detect the difference in temperature on either side of the spine. And so we put that up there to see if there was a significant difference. And the more difference in temperature there is, the more stress and strain, irritation, inflammation to that particular part of the nervous system. So we did that, and it was black on one side. So put it this way, there is the little key that's on there. Green is mild, blue is moderate, and red is severe. Well, this was worse. So if you think about the birth process, there's a lot of pulling and tugging, and especially, in some sort of emergency situation, there's a lot going on in that child's neck when they're trying to be taken out of the birth canal. So if we kind of look back, maybe that's what happened. It's kind of difficult to say, but regardless, this child had a subluxation, which is a misalignment of the spine that causes pain or some sort of dysfunction in the body. And so the doctor at the time, he looked at that child, he looked at the study that he just did, the exam, felt of the child's spine, and this child was like really lethargic. Really didn't have a voice. Usually, babies, when you strip them down to their diaper and stuff and you look at them and everything, they get kind of agitated, especially at 12 days old. They just want to be near mommy, right? Skin to skin on mommy. And there was none of that. And so he just took his pinky, put it right there on the atlas, did a little movement. No more than you would, no more of a pressure that you would do to check a ripe tomato. Okay? Did that baby went and just screamed out. That was the first time the parents actually heard her voice. And it turned bright pink from head to toe. You could tell oxygen was getting to her body finally. And she even had a bowel movement right there on the table. So it was just like her body exploded with life. And so over the course of the next several weeks, the apnea started going away. She started breathing normally. Both parents got under care, and it was pretty amazing to see. So from that moment on, that's what got into my head. I want to be a chiropractor. That's what I want to do. Because before, I was doing great as a chiropractic assistant. I was having fun. I was enjoying my job. I loved who I worked for. I loved who I worked with, and the patients were fantastic. But I knew at that moment in time that I knew there was a bigger calling for me. And so that's what got me on the journey. Now, why this adjustment helped with breathing? Well, if you just look at your basic anatomy, the brainstem is right there at the atlas, the very top bone in the spine that surrounds a small part of the brainstem. Your respiratory centers are there, your cardiovascular centers are there. Your postural muscles are actually controlled at that particular region as well. We're seeing a misalignment of that spine that is creating a disruption in that part of the nervous system that, in her case, was most likely affecting her respiration. So when I see that, and I'm just looking at the basic anatomy, believe it or not, I can't say I can help you with your baby breathing better. I can't say that I could help you with asthma, other respiratory issues. What I say as a chiropractor is we find that subluxation, that misalignment, we restore proper function to the nervous system so that your body can actually function the way God intended it. That's what I do as a chiropractor. The only thing chiropractors actually treat are subluxations. That is it. And what happens after that? Well, that's what we hear from our patients all the time. We hear changes in their immune function. Immune function is a big thing. There was a study that actually came out from my most favorite colleagues on the planet, that they found that there's an immune marker called salivary IgA, or SIGA for short. It's an immune marker. That immune marker actually shows the function of the immune system at that point. And what they showed in that study is that an upper cervical alignment does help increase SIGA so that immune system can actually start functioning better. So they had an absolute marker. They tested the marker before and they tested the marker after. And there was a significant difference in the way that particular immune marker functioned. So we know that the upper cervical work can affect the immune system, but I can't say that I make your immune system better. So I want to be really clear on that, is that obviously there's more studies. Science is never settled. Never settled. So what we need to do as chiropractors is we need to start doing more of those studies. So the more studies that we have out there, the more evidence there is that we can help patients with, making sure that their bodies function even better, especially when they're under stress. When you're in your mama's belly, the first thing that forms is the nervous system before any other system starts to function properly. It is the master system. The CPU is the brain right here, and the information highway that it uses to make sure that everything can speak is the spine. So chiropractors, we look to the spine, right? We're looking at the nerves that exit. We're looking at the overall function of the whole body of a patient. I see that as the foundation of health, because there's nothing else that can function properly. We can take every supplement on the planet. We can eat the greatest organic food. We can drink the cleanest water. We can exercise, do our best to keep our bodies moving. But if the nervous system isn't functioning properly, does it make sense? Just ask yourself this question. Does it make sense that your body is going to function well if your nervous system isn't functioning well? It's really the basis of everything. So we live our lives through our nervous systems. So when we get sick, there's some people that get well really quickly, and there's others that essentially take, days, even months to kind of get over a cold. Why are we so different? What makes us different? So as a chiropractor, when I'm looking at, I go through the whole history with a patient. I make sure I ask all the pertinent questions. It's really diving deep. That's the most important part of the exam, is the history. So we go over that. Therefore, I can start looking at, okay, how is this patient's life, contributing to what's going on with their symptoms that they walk in here with. But I also want to make sure that I have a good understanding of what's working and what's not. So the diagnostics that we do in our office are extremely important, because I can talk to a patient, they can tell me what's going on with them, but until I found out where the cause of that problem is, looking at their scans, we do a thermography scan that helps us take a look at the nerves exiting the spine that lead to all the organs and tissues that from that particular area. If there is a significant difference on either side of the spine in temperature, that means that there's more inflammation, because inflammation causes heat, right? So that actually will cause a change in that temperature. So we can actually pinpoint the areas that are causing the problem. So I'm not just chasing symptoms around. I don't want to chase your symptom around. I want to find out where it's coming from. As chiropractors, that's really important. We want to make sure that we find those areas that are the problems so we can actually correct those subluxations so the body can heal itself. We have the greatest doctors inside of our body. We just have to make sure there's no interference in that process.
Hey there, it's Jonathan Otto here. Welcome to Healing Revolution. I'm excited for all the benefits that you'll be achieving by using the information that you're learning in this series. So the key here is to enjoy this free screening. Watch the episodes, make sure to watch the main episodes, the bonus episodes over the next several days. And most importantly, as you get the benefit of this information, it's clear, and I'm sure it's clear to you, that this information is so life-changing that it's important to own it, to have it in your hands, to be able to grab our packages here on this page. So during this screening, we have a really exclusive bonus where we're offering you all the episodes, all 12 episodes, all 12 bonus episodes, the 60 full-length interviews, and so much more. It's truly a game changer. And what we've done here is we've added in a program where you can actually get red light therapy for free. You can get a $400 belt. It's both near infrared and red at both 850 and 660, as well as our amazing 8 supplement 60-day Restore, Revive, and Thrive supplement protocol for Healing Revolution. So that consists of Para-Free Detox 2 bottles, Gut Flora Pro, the 15-day cleanse, kidney support, gut repair 360, gut cleanse and liver support, and the nattokinase. Now this goes together synergistically with the red light therapy belt, and this is it right here. I'm pulling it here. So you can put this anywhere on your body, and that's what's so powerful about this. So I'm going to show you this, and it's got varying intensities. I'm going to put up it to the highest mode, and then you could set this anywhere in your body, and it's going to put red light therapy all throughout your body, which is amazing. And you can use it in unconventional ways to actually have it against your face. Use it like a face mask, even though that's not what it's designed to do, but it absolutely works. People are even getting benefits from looking directly at it. You can look at the clinical studies on that. Don't take my word for it, but do your own research. And putting it over your organs, like your liver, your kidneys, your heart, these organ cells are filled with mitochondria, and it's so important to get red light therapy to these critical organs to support your organ function. And when combined with the anti-parasitic formulas, you'll find tremendous benefit in removing these harmful parasites out of the body, as well as you look at the formulas that are supporting your liver, your kidneys. You're supporting these organ functions with both red light and with the supplements that are being activated. The herbal formulas, these vital nutrients, are being activated by the red and near infrared light. So it's super powerful. And then you've got the 2 live masterclasses, uninvited guests, how parasites drain your energy and cloud your mind, as well as autism, ADHD, and the immune system, uncovering the connection, the uncensored expert-led masterclasses, health beyond the system, healing from the earth, building a cancer-resistant body, secret science of healing, as well as the 9 Healing Revolution books, the free one-on-one consultation with a health expert, the 5-part mini-series, Detoxing the Modern World, Clearing Heavy Metals, EMFs, and Glyphosate for Vibrant Health, and the 2 live question and answer sessions. And that's why it's over $4,800 worth of free gifts. That includes also the 10-day Healing Revolution Challenge, which is a live challenge. And then you're getting as well in the core package with this 77% off discount, you're getting the 60 full-length interviews, the 12 brand new episodes, and the bonus episodes. So a total of 24 episodes. This is something to claim while you have it available right now. You're getting all these physical items, the printed transcripts, the flash drive, and so much more. And it's something you can claim while it's available, especially with these free gifts that we have a limited supply on. So make sure to get it while it's available. We will close that down once we sell out, which will happen because we've got hundreds of thousands of people that are given invitations, and we certainly don't have that inventory, but we do have it available. When you see it on the page, it means it's available, and we are then excited to help you and see the results that you're getting. And while you're inside of our program, you're able to track your healing results and share with us the amazing healing transformations that you're going on. So that's one of the powerful tools. When you have live sessions, when you have the tools, when you have the formulas, the red light therapy devices, in this case, the red light therapy belt, when you have all these in combination, you're able to get the health and healing that you're looking for. And that's why we're seeing such amazing transformations. If you've seen any transformations in this series that have touched your heart, which they've certainly touched my heart as I'm watching these stories myself, enjoying these episodes just like you are, I get so moved and so touched. And we're going to continue to share with you these life-changing results. People that were really given up on by the medical system, they're reclaiming their health, they're witnessing healing before their eyes. And I want you to see these results in your life with your health starting today. Don't hold back. Don't put it off. Don't delay your health. Don't delay your healing. This is so critical that you claim this amazing gift that we're giving away right now. So you can do that by scrolling down, placing your order on this page. You can pause this video, grab your program while it's available. Come with us on a journey of a lifetime. Let us help you and help activate the most profound and beautiful healing journey in your life. You're certainly worth it. You deserve it. Thank you so much for joining me in Healing Revolution. I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. Scroll down below to place your order, and let's do this. Let's heal together. Up next, we have Dr. Brandon Nutt, who reveals a critical flaw in modern medicine. Treatment protocols often ignore the individual. He explains why neurological, metabolic, and psychological health must be addressed together rather than just using a one-size-fits-all approach. Instead of just chasing symptoms, he looks at how spinal misalignments disrupts brain function, immune response, and overall health. And here's where it gets even more alarming. Brain injuries and spinal trauma don't just affect movement, they can trigger gut dysfunction, immune suppression, and even mental health issues. Research shows that head trauma can cause leaky gut regardless of diet, leading to widespread inflammation and long-term health complications. This is why Dr. Nutt takes a completely different approach, focusing on how spinal adjustments impact the brain, improve blood flow, and restore proper neurological communication. He breaks down how spinal misalignments affect everything from digestion to cognitive function and what it takes to fully heal. After that, we're joined by Dr. Lisa Barry Bennett, who exposes a shocking, overlooked problem, the atlas misalignment. Most people have no idea that the top bone in your spine, the atlas, controls your blood flow, nerve function, and even posture. But when it shifts out of place, it creates a cascade of health problems, from migraines and brain fog to chronic pain and immune dysfunction. She explains how this misalignment puts pressure on the brainstem, disrupting communication between the brain and body. It can even restrict blood flow through the jugular vein, leading to oxygen deprivation and inflammation. And the worst part, most people never get it checked. Instead, they're given medications for symptoms without ever fixing the real issue. Dr. Barry Bennett reveals how correcting atlas misalignment can restore your nerve function, relieve chronic pain, and transform your overall health.
Treatment is a weird word, because treatment means we're trying to change physiology, and typically treatment meaning medication, pharmaceutical of some sort. I'm a chiropractor. Advanced training or not, chiropractors have a scope that we work within. But when you talk about human performance, when you talk about neurological development, when you talk about those three pillars that I was talking about, neurological, metabolic, and psychological, a chiropractor can recommend B vitamins, methylated B vitamins. A chiropractor can definitely recommend natural anti-inflammatories to help with neuroinflammatory problems. A chiropractor can help with, from a nutritional, from a supplementation, adjustments, different types of neurological stimulation, different types of physical treatments. You can use a whole boatload of therapies to help people with all sorts of neurological problems. And at the end of the day, I don't like to think of it as like we're treating, therefore there's a protocol, right? Here's an autistic kid, they get this protocol. Here's an autistic kid, they get the same protocol. And I think that thinking is actually what's causing our healthcare problem in the first place. Once you get a diagnosis, you go down this road of therapies. And I think that's we need to take a step back, because that kind of puts said kid with autism in the same bucket as every other kid with autism, and the treatment is the same. And maybe in some kids it works well, in some kids it doesn't work well. It takes the individuality of that person's physiology, their genetics, their neurological system, their psychological pathways. It takes all of those out and basically says, no, this person's autistic, so we're going to treat them the same way that they're treated. Everybody's individual. Maybe an autistic kid or a person with stroke or a person with anxiety, maybe they all have iron deficiency. And if you manage that if you uncover and manage that iron deficiency appropriately, maybe there's maybe there's going to be good or better outcomes than other therapies. But the reason I'm giving an iron supplement maybe to this person, to this person, to this person might be different. So from a protocol perspective, like, everybody should be treated individually, and no stroke is the same, no version of autism is the same, no neurological injury is the same, because everybody has different brain. I like to think of chiropractic adjustments, subluxation, as a combination of is it anatomical, is it neurological, is it musculoskeletal, what is the cause of it? And from an adjustment standpoint, we know the adjustment is an incredibly powerful physical and neurological stimulation, and that's research driven. We know that you can do EEGs, you can do qualitative EEGs, and basically see changes in brain after adjustments. You can see changes, vasculature changes, and if getting more blood to the brain is a good thing for somebody, then maybe an adjustment is a good thing to do for that person. As far as treatments, I don't want to say doing an adjustment is going to cure autism, because that's definitely not what my experience has been. But there is something to be said about alternative treatment, if you want to call it alternative treatment, but more physiological, neurological, and psychological approaches, as well as addressing the genetic components and really diving in deep. But unfortunately, right now, it's so diagnosis driven that it's, once you get something that says, here's the diagnosis, it's okay, let's move into the therapies, which is just a generalized treatment or generalized therapy for that diagnosis, not for that person, but for that diagnosis. And I think that's honestly, one of the things that we need to get away from in this country is the reliance on diagnosis to make up your treatment. Why can't it just be, let's take a step back and look at the physiological pattern? There's this problem, this problem, this problem. What's could be causing all three? What common pathways, what common symptoms, what common therapies could have an effect on all three at the same time? Whiplash injuries and head injuries can look very similar. And a lot of times you don't have to have a full-on impact on the head. Just the stopping motion is enough to have the brain slosh. So the brain itself, an unfixed brain, are basically like, back in school, we would do cadaver lab and we'd have brains, but they were fixed, meaning they were chemically processed to not fall apart, right? Or to degrade or rot. So the thing with our natural brain is that it's essentially the consistency of Jell-O, right? So it's it's mostly fat and water. So when those things slosh, they actually slosh. Just like if I stopped really quick and I had a bowl of Jell-O, that Jell-O still continues to flame forward. And there's some suspensory things in the brain to keep it from sloshing too much. But for the most part, it's a big thing of Jell-O with a little bit of connective tissue covering and fluid kind of holding it in place, but it still has a slosh to it. So when that happens, boom, I hit my head. That sloshing mechanism can do a whole sort of things. If I hit the front of my head, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to have an injury in the frontal lobe. I could have injury in the back of my brain. I can have injury in my brain stem. There's a typical flow of how our brain rotates after that injury, and our brain stem is basically fixed, and our brain can wobble a little bit, so you can actually shear some of the neuronal connection between the brain, the cortex, and the brain stem itself. So when that shearing happens, those neurons can be damaged, as in damaged forever, or they can be damaged as in they're going to have hyperfunction, as in they're going to fire too much and send crazy signals to the body. And that's where you can see spasticities, movement disorders, lack of movement, motion, sensation problems, communication between brain and body problems. That's probably where you heard that information about brain and gut. Like after a head injury, gut suffers, and there's ample research showing that after a head injury, regardless of how well you eat or what you eat, or even if you don't eat, you develop a leaky gut, kind of a common term people understand. Leaky gut or basically gut permeability issues. So regardless of taking your supplementation, regardless of helping with digestive enzymes, regardless of eating, the healthiest thing in the world, after a head injury, we can lose function of our GI tract, which isn't crazy to think of, because a lot of people don't think of it in this case. Like if I injure the motor cortex over here, I might have motor problems, right? In the brain, we have parts of the brain that help regulate our GI tract and help regulate the peristaltic or toothpaste squeezing motion of the GI tract. It's a muscle. Just because I don't have conscious control, just because it's smooth muscle, doesn't mean that it can't be affected whenever brain, who controls just about everything, is having damage. So, and the research is very evident that leaky gut, and this is where it's like you take if there was such a thing as identical people with identical brain injuries, impossible. Let's say that happens though, and this kid goes and eats McDonald's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and this kid goes and does maybe intermittent fasting, and then loads up with omega-3 fatty acids and magnesium and turmeric and resveratrol and these natural anti-inflammatories, creatine monohydrate, those types of things that help out with brain production of energy and glucose and anti-inflammatories. This kid is probably going to recover much faster than the kid who's, putting chemical or toxin or too much sugar, even gluten and wheat and dairy and soy and those types of chemicals into our body. After brain injury, it's not uncommon to see people have one of two things: hyper responsive or excessive immune response, or depressed or decreased immune responses. So depending on where the injury is, the major area of the brain that's been damaged, which again isn't necessarily where you hit your head. It can be, the tricky part of the brain is doing a full neurological examination, not just say, look at my fingers, touch my finger. Okay, yep, you have a concussion. Go home and sit in the dark room until your symptoms go away. Maybe there is therapies. Maybe there's eye movements. Maybe there's balance exercises. Maybe there's passive therapies, electrical therapies, nutritional. Supplementation obviously plays a big role in this, and just supporting the body as best as possible. I like to think of it as, I'm not treating anybody, I'm just supporting their physiology, because I'm not smarter than the body, right? There's something out there that's greater than me, that was able to create something that is so complex that we don't even really know that much about it in perspective to how much there is to know about it. There's something greater out there. But if I can just support here and there and a little bit of this, a little bit of that, the nutritional, the neurological, the metabolic, and the psychological piece, outcomes are better. In the world of neurology, you always want to, when you're doing an examination, understand the limitations of that test, understand the areas of the brain that are involved in that test, and then be able to, it's kind of like a Venn diagram, like there's this test, and then there's this test that overlaps just slightly. Okay, and understanding the ability to overlap that and understand that there's a vestibular component on this test, there's a vestibular component on this test, and when we do both the tests, neither of them are very good. Maybe the underlying problem is vestibular. Maybe the underlying problem is cerebellar. Maybe the underlying problem is brainstem or basal ganglionic disorder, frontal lobe or parietal lobe or occipital lobe or temporal lobe, or whatever part of the brain that's involved. You just need to understand that here's a test, and then here's another test, and then here's another test, and here's another test, and then layer it, and then it really comes alive, and you can really understand, well, here's a test that has nothing to do with those things, and they do perfectly fine. So, okay, well, maybe we can look at this and understand where the root cause could be coming from. And then on top of that, understanding, okay, maybe it's vestibular. What is the vestibular function? What is its impact on the immune system? What is its impact on the fight or flight reactionary system, or what's called your limbic response, right? That's that limbic system. This is something that is by far maybe the most overlooked thing about neurology, is that limbic response. After brain injury, think of your limbic system as like the very primitive part of our brain that gives us this powerful fight or flight response, right? You're in the woods and you hear a bear, right? Blood flow changes, pupillary constriction, dilations are changing, vasculature changes in my gut, vasculature changes in my arms and my legs so that I can run faster, jump higher, or fight if I had to, not run out of energy, right? Like if you're fighting a bear, you can't say, hey, time out, I got to take a breather. You got to be prepared, right? And that limbic response, that purely fight or flight reaction that happens, is something that often gets kickstarted after head injury, or often is brought closer to threshold. Threshold meaning like, okay, I always use the kind of the metaphor of like, I've had it up to here with you. You say one more thing and I'm going to punch you in the face, or I'm going to yell at you or whatever. And our brain is that way too. It's like, you have a little bit of stress, not a big deal. Maybe you're a little nutrient deficient. Maybe you're hypoglycemic. Maybe you didn't get good sleep last night. And then all of a sudden, boom, someone says the wrong thing to you and you snap. Or, you get a bill in the mail you weren't expecting. And it's like, boom, those fight or flight reactions, those limbic responses can kick on. And that fight or flight reaction makes you feel anxious, nervous, depressed if it lasts for a long period of time. And those things themselves can maintain neurological dysfunction and won't allow your frontal lobe to kick on and won't allow your brain to control automatic functions appropriately. So there's so many aspects to brain injury that's just completely like not looked at because it takes too much time. There's no prescription. And understanding the interconnectivity pulls you outside of being a one-trick pony, if you want to call it like that. Everything in the healthcare system is like, I do nephrology. It's only nephrology. I only do that, or I only do neurology, or I only do, we get these little people who are experts in one field, but don't take in consideration things on the outside. And that's where I think we miss some of the glory, if you will, of being a provider. Is if you can just take a step back and realize that person can heal themselves, and you just got to support the pathways of healing, then, it takes the stress off of me because I know that person can heal. We just need to support it in the right direction.
I'm Dr. Elisa Barry Bennett. I am a chiropractor. I specialize in upper cervical care here at HealthWork. So what got me into chiropractic care and what led me to seeking that road was I originally went to college to be a medical doctor or to work in a lab. Through the process of undergrad, I actually found out about chiropractic care. I had never been to a chiropractor. My family had no idea what chiropractic care really was. We hadn't received chiropractic care as kids. And what I found out when I went to the free clinic, because I was going for medical school and I was shadowing different doctors at this free clinic. So I met a chiropractor at the free clinic while I was volunteering, getting hours to go to med school, and had my first adjustment. My first adjustment was incredible. I had no idea that putting your hands on somebody had that kind of effect. I was 18, 19 years old. I was in college. At that age, you don't have aches and pains and you're completely invincible. When I got adjusted, he actually adjusted where my skull sits on my spine. It wasn't the atlas. It was just how my skull sits on my spine. And the amount of pressure release I felt on my brain was insane. I didn't know that there was this pressure buildup there in the first place. And so when I had that release, brain fog was gone, and I didn't realize was there. I was thinking so clearly afterwards, and I had to know more about it. I ended up working for him before I went to chiropractic school, and I worked for him for about a year, and then it made up my mind. I was in my last year of undergrad for med school and changed because of that. For the last 9 years, I have practiced traditional chiropractic. I have been in multiple different clinics. I have seen many, many different types of patients. I was not specifically seeking out upper cervical care. What had happened was the universe had a different idea for me. And I came here and interviewed here after having worked at the joint. And that's very much like a cattle call. They do not do anything specific at the joint. It's the complete opposite of what our office does. The joint chiropractic is a great way to get your foot in the door if you are looking for chiropractic care to get an experience, but it is not specific. So they'll see you. They're everywhere. They're kind of like Starbucks and McDonald's. It's a great place to just dip your toe. But if you're looking for real relief and you're looking for real specific chiropractic care, this is it. Because I have practiced traditional chiropractic. I've seen people get better. I've seen people have benefits with that. This type of care takes care of so much deeper issues. There's so many different patterns that people have. And looking back now, knowing what I know, having done upper cervical care, I can see the patients that I had before, how they could have benefited from this. Because when you have that upper cervical subluxation, it causes the muscles on one side of the body to respond, because that subtle pressure on your brainstem going through here, your body has to do something to try and give more available space. And so what happens is the muscles on one side of your body, they will get tight. We call that a splinting pattern. It will pull up on one side of your body. So what we typically will see is unleveling at the shoulders, tension in the neck and shoulders. We'll see a very sharp splinting pattern through the muscles, meaning it feels like a little rope is in the muscles right next to the spine. It's very obvious. But we'll also see that short leg unevenness to the hips. So looking back, when I look back at practicing traditional chiropractic versus this, I can see that pattern happening in those patients day after day, visit after visit, seeing them. And eventually we would get the patterns broken up. But there was still that underlying pattern that never got fixed because we never specifically looked at the top of the spine at C1. So C1 at the top of the spine is, it's your breaker box to your body. So instead of having good communication, you've kinked your water hose, and now there's less water coming out. There's less communication coming out of your brainstem with that subtle pressure. And that response is what causes the short leg, uneven hips, all the things that we just talked about. But it's the pinnacle of what needs to be worked on in the body. The brainstem, the nervous system, that controls everything. Your brain, your nervous system, all the cells, all the organs. Every regenerative process that is in our body, it controls all of that. When you get the atlas adjusted, we get that back in alignment, all the communication can now function. However, the joints are physical joints. Not all of those joints are going to go back. We have those built-in patterns because of daily life. We drive, we sit at a desk, we do the same things over and over and over each day. Those cause those subluxations or the stiffness, tightness in the other joints that needs to be addressed. Plus, with traumas, and depending on the degeneration in your spine, there may be more physical work that needs to be done through the actual joints of the neck or the lower back. And the atlas adjustment is just the start of that. When that pressure is put on the brainstem, like I said earlier, it does cause that physical thing that we can see in the muscles and the posture. Underneath the surface, where the nerves come out, if you can imagine, your body's doing that response physically on the outside, but on the inside, it's still trying to get more space in that spinal canal. What we see is then we get a lot more tension. So now that spinal cord is trying to come up to make room for where the kink is in the hose. When that happens and the spinal cord gets shorter, we start to see more things like disc bulges, disc herniations, because now your spine itself is going to try and get shorter to accommodate for that tension and the spinal cord pulling up. So if you've got the tension in the cord and now you've blown a disc, all the nerves that come out of your spine are starting to get sucked back up in there because they're really trying to find whatever space they can to function. When the nervous system tension gets released from that atlas adjustment and from subsequent visits, you see that nervous system start to calm down, which is exactly why we do thermal scans, EMG, because we have to be able to see where that nerve distress is still happening so that we can address that properly. The atlas misalignment does have a profound effect on the jugular vein because it is right here through the neck. It goes through the atlas into the brain. So if you can imagine, if you've got that shift in that atlas, it puts tension on that vein that should not be there. So the blood flow cannot go back and forth properly. This is a major, major vein to the brain. So that's why it's so common for us to see people with migraines, headaches, brain fog, all the things that people have issues with right through here, and even sometimes allergies, because they're not getting the proper blood flow to and from their brain because of that. We love to see babies as soon as possible because it is so much easier to fix a child than it is an adult. An adult has years and years of trauma and degeneration to their spine already. But when a baby's first born, their little joints haven't even fused yet. So they don't have degeneration. They can heal so much faster. Their little systems are so efficient for them. And the biggest reason we want parents to bring their kids in is that birthing process. They're coming out head first. They have been in the womb in this really tight, compact area. And we commonly see atlas misalignments in babies because of that. And what typically tips people off is baby won't breastfeed off of one breast. They prefer one over the other. They don't turn their head well whenever it's tummy time. They're very specific about how they're held. If they're bottle fed, they'll want to be on one side versus the other. These are very mild things in the beginning, but over time, what that leads to is more chronic things. We might see runny nose. They might get sick more often than other kids or other babies because their little nervous system can't heal as quickly because there's not the proper communication.
Hey there, it's Jonathan. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Just a really quick reminder that you've got amazing red light therapy tools. In this case, you've got a red light therapy belt that you can claim with your package. So you can strap that on, put that on all the key areas that you want to put on your body over all your critical organs. We've got a red light therapy device here talking to me, beeping away here with its timer on. We've got so much to offer here inside of this program, and you can claim it all here on this page. Claim the 8 supplement protocol. These are new and revolutionary supplement formulas that are doctor formulated that achieve extraordinary results, especially when in combination with red light therapy, both red and near infrared, as they're activated in your critical organs. Your mitochondria are begging you to be able to give them what they need so that they can fuel your body with energy. Once you have cellular energy, you can achieve all kinds of things in your health, and you can achieve the results that you're seeing in these amazing case studies. But it's that simple choice of saying yes to yourself, yes to your health, yes to your healing. And that's what so many others did. When you see these case studies of all these life-changing results, make sure to claim that result for yourself, for your own life. I don't want to see you missing out on that when there's so much joy on the other side of whatever you've been told you have, whatever symptoms you're going through right now. You can turn that around, just like all these other people have turned that around. And those stories, they touch my heart. I know they touch your heart too, because these are real people that had a lot of things going on in their life that if you looked at the future and how many people would be affected when somebody loses their health, there's a ripple effect around all their loved ones. And I want you to see the health and healing that you deserve. And it's a simple choice of saying that, yes, I'm worthy, I deserve this. You'll be getting all the master classes, you'll be getting all of the additional free materials, as well as the free one-on-one consultation, all the live sessions, so that you can get that coaching, help, and support that you need inside this program. It's something that we should be charging the full $4,800, close to $5,000 for, but we're not doing that. We're practically giving this away only for a limited time while stocks last. It's something that you can grab when you take action and you claim it for yourself right here, right now, while it's available. So scroll down on this page, place your order. I look forward to seeing you inside the program. Take advantage of this, and let's get you the health and healing that you deserve. The connection between your spine and your health is far more significant than most of us realize. The reality is, within your spine lies your central nervous system, the most crucial communication network of the body. This means that fundamentally your spine acts as the information highway linking your brain with every other part of your body. Thus, when misaligned, it will certainly affect the ability of your body to send messages to various organs, systems, and body parts. The biggest takeaway from this bonus episode is that healing the spine doesn't take a lot or cost so much. Natural methods are even more effective in straightening the spine and returning it back to original health. And further, even simple lifestyle changes can play a huge role in relieving the strain off your spine. Simple movements and awareness of posture do a great deal. As we end this bonus episode, remember that taking care of your spine means that you're optimizing your health. Why wait for pain or diseases to remind you? Start giving your spine the care it deserves today.